So, artificial intelligence. It's completely shaking up the job market, right? But is this a path to new riches, or is it a massive new risk for pretty much everyone? Let's get into it and see what the data really says.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to look at this from three really different angles. You've got the startup employee who's right in the thick of it, the CEO with that 30,000-foot view, and the new graduate who's just trying to find their footing. And then we'll take a look at what the road ahead might look like for all of us.
Let's kick things off with a number that tells a much, much bigger story. 14%. That's how many people got laid off at a really promising AI startup called Scale AI. And the crazy part? It happened right after they got a huge investment from Meta. So you get this massive vote of confidence, and what's the first thing that happens? Job cuts. It's confusing, right? So what is going on here?
And that really brings us to our first point of view, the startup employee. These are the people on the front lines, and they're finding out that a big win for the company, well, it doesn't always mean a win for them anymore.
You know, it feels like just yesterday that getting bought by a tech giant was the ultimate dream. It was a huge career win. But, well, the rules of the game have totally changed. Now, an acquisition often means your job is immediately at risk. The focus isn't on keeping talented people or a great company culture. It's about ruthlessly getting rid of any overlapping roles and cutting staff down to the bare minimum. And look, this isn't just a one-off thing. It's a pattern we're seeing all over the place. Snorkel AI laid off staff right after a big investment. Cognition bought a company and immediately cut jobs. Humane gets acquired by HP and boom, layoffs. Even a giant like Meta has been cutting hundreds from its own AI division. This is just the new playbook.
And, the experts are definitely seeing this. As JP Gonder from Forrester puts it, this whole buy and liquidate the staff trend is, frankly, troubling. What it really means is that companies aren't buying teams anymore. They're just buying the tech or maybe a list of customers. And for workers, that creates a super volatile and uncertain environment.
Okay, so now let's kind of pull back a bit and shift perspectives. Because if you zoom out from the front lines and go up to the C-suite, this whole disruption looks completely different. For them, this isn't a crisis, it's a revolution.
I mean, listen to David Solomon, the CEO of Goldman Sachs. Yeah, he admits jobs are going to shift around, but he's excited about it. From his point of view, AI is a tool that's just going to create more efficiency, more capacity, and at the end of the day, more money to invest back into the business. It's all about the long game.
And he's not alone in this. You hear the same thing from leaders like Microsoft's Satya Nadella. He points back to the Industrial Revolution. Sure, it caused what he calls a massive redistribution of labor, which, yeah, sounds a little scary, but it eventually led to totally new kinds of work nobody could have imagined. So the argument here really is that this has all happened before. History is just doing its thing again.
Okay, but this big, grand, historical shift, it's creating an absolute perfect storm for one group in particular, the people who are just trying to get their careers started. Let's talk about the tough spot new college graduates are in.
And wow, the numbers here, they are really, really stark. A recent report from Cengage Group found that only 30% of recent grads have actually found a full-time job in their field. That means a whopping 70% haven't. I mean, think about that. That's a huge gap between education and employment. So why is this happening? Well, basically, grads are caught between a rock and a hard place. First, there's a skills mismatch. What you learn in school might not be what companies need right now. And second, the job market itself is getting hollowed out at the entry level. Those jobs that used to be the first step on the career ladder, they're either being automated by AI or just eliminated to save cash. This quote from Kevin Thompson just nails the problem perfectly. The real issue is the speed of all this change. The job market is moving so fast that a degree you start today could be kind of outdated by the time you graduate in 4 years. The education system, well, it just can't move that fast. So, okay, we've got these totally conflicting views, right? Big risks for employees, a revolution for CEOs, and a real crisis for new grads. With all this turbulence, what on earth does the future of work actually look like?
What we're starting to see is this pretty clear divide opening up. Jobs that involve dealing with language and data, think customer service, coding, writing, those are getting hit hard by AI. But a lot of hands-on, blue-collar work, like operating a dredge or laying railway tracks, those jobs are much more sheltered from automation, at least for now.
And this, right here, is really the heart of the whole debate.
The World Economic Forum thinks AI could get rid of 85 million jobs, but it could also create twice that number, as many as 170 million new roles. So the real story isn't just about jobs disappearing, it's about a massive economy-wide transition. The biggest challenge we face is figuring out how to get through all that displacement in the short term.
And all of this leaves us with a really fundamental question, one that, honestly, we all need to think about. The old playbook of get a degree, get a stable career, is being rewritten right before our eyes. So in this world being reshaped by AI, what does that new path from school to a stable career even look like anymore?
Thank you for watching Jobs Are Gone with AI, an episode on how several prominent CEOs view the current technological revolution driven by artificial intelligence. See you in the next episode.